Welcome to the grand finals here of Gym Challenge 24 here for our premier challenge here at Peak Riviera, California. My name is Jesus Coronel, alongside me is Arnie Wolf. Our final two contestants here for this tournament, Sean Pinto and Junxi Zhu for this grand finals here.
Oh man, we've seen some amazing playing from both of these players today. And one thing that I am excited to see is the kind of differences in these teams, but yet they're the same. It's very fun to see. You have Giraffe and Porygon facing up against each other. You have Landorus and Redirection with Amoonguss. And as you see now on the screen, you've got Sean on the left with the Amoonguss, Raging Bolt, Incineroar, Urshifu Rapid, Giraffe and Landorus Incarnate. Junxi on the right with his classic staples, the Amoonguss, Urshifu Rapid, Porygon, Landorus, Incineroar, and Golden Go. So, like I said, pretty similar. Both have pretty hefty attackers in Landorus and Urshifu. Have a means to set up Trick Room with Porygon and Giraffe, and of course the Amoongusses to redirect.
Yeah, we have both the Amoonguses actually to go into the depths of both these teams, but I want to find the interesting thing about both this matchup specifically might be the Giraffe from Sean, because we do see Sprout Spray on the select screen, and a lot of the rest of the Sean teams looks pretty standard, and we know how Junxi does with the standard teams. He'll pick them apart.
Yeah, you know what I really like about the Giraffe is it is supported by so many different Pokemon. It's kind of a sweeper in its own right. It's got Snarl from Raging Bolt, which is actually Terra Fairy Snarl Raging Bolt is so good into Landorus because you can hit past the substitute with Snarl and therefore just kind of neutralize it, allowing your other Pokemon to focus on Landorus's partner. Only thing is you got to watch out for Amoonguss Spore, which is really, really important. And I think actually that's something we're going to see in both of these sides, because both Pokemon on either side have stuff that's susceptible to Spore. Urshifu and Landorus on Junxi's side. Meanwhile, you got Raging Bolt and Giraffe on Sean's side.
I love the fact that Junxi's led Amoonguss Urshifu into so many of his games here. We're going to see double Giraffe here with the Giraffe and Raging Bolt. So, a couple things. So, first of all, like this should be a free Hyper Voice into the Throat Spray combination. It's just like Raging Bolt's in a weird spot because you don't want to be going for Thunderclap unless the Rage Powder comes out. If it doesn't come out, then Urshifu just goes ahead and gets an attack off for free. However, there's also a counterplay for a switch out hard for Junxi. And so it's like, the mind game is basically who does what. I mean, obviously, yes, I've been saying that all the time. It's just like, it's not logistical for Raging Bolt to just stand there and just whiff on a Thunderclap.
I think Junxi's actually in a really good spot. I actually think you hard switch into Landorus and Spore the Raging Bolt if you're Junxi. And then if you're Sean, you call that and switch one of your out to Incineroar. And we're going to see Amoonguss switch out, though, from Junxi's side. I'm surprised at that one.
I mean, I bet you're worried about Psychic coming out here. Yeah, that Incineroar switch is clearly for Psychic.
I think, honestly, Hyper Voice is better to set up right away. Especially if you've got Thunderclap. Like, that's just safe, relatively safe.
Yeah, U-turn comes out into this Regret. That's a lot of damage. Is that a critical hit? Actually, yeah, it was.
Yeah, that makes sense. Giraffa's pretty bulky, but not that bulky. Like, it's especially with Hyper Voice, you do take more damage, but that was a bit absurd. That may hurt Sean in the long run, especially because you may want to set up Trick Room later. Not necessarily with the Amoonguss on the field, but and actually, Sean's team may be faster if Junxi brings back out that Amoonguss, but if Junxi's got Landorus, now's the time to bring it in.
And then Amoonguss comes back in here for Sean. So, was it Psychic that came out from Draco Meteor into the Urshifu slot? I don't think this is knocking out the Amoonguss right now. Yeah, I mean, that's close. That might be Hyper Voice range. If Sean would work. Okay, Sean did go for Hyper Voice. It is enough to knock out the Amoonguss.
Oh! That's that for Giraffe was like, that's for critting me with U-turn.
Wrong slot, man. Wrong slot, Giraffe. All right, we get to see the Throat Spray come out and sprays the special attack of the Giraffe. So it's going to be doing more damage with his attacks. Unfortunately for Junxi, Psychic did not come out.
This is, you have to bring out whatever your last Pokemon is.
Golden Go.
Oh, not bringing out Landorus was a mistake. Because this Raging Bolt is in great spot to go ahead and just, I mean, it's obviously going to, it's not in a great spot at the moment, but you can pretty safely switch it out and then go for another Hyper Voice. I think with Golden Go, you risk taking the Incineroar taking some hefty damage from a Hyper Voice if you stay in and go for a Nasty Plot, and especially because Sean's got Incineroar or got the Amoonguss in the back. Like,
okay, we see Junxi go for Specialization. There's like two options I can see him going for here, and the option's gonna be the Golden Go going ahead and go for the Terra Dragon, knowing that Draco Meteor isn't likely to knock you out at the -2. However, that does make you susceptible to Hyper Voice now that you're no longer a Steel type.
I'm shocked we didn't see this Raging Bolt switch out.
That is Nasty Plot,
but I guess it makes sense because you're gonna, that nasty ball was obvious. So did Sean call the
Snarl, so we are going to get a
There we
minus.
go.
So that's a minus, so it's definitely a +1, and another critical hit onto the Incineroar. Okay, we got critical hits already from Dinks. So shouldn't be really getting critical hit ratios on the plus side. Knock off into the Furry Ref is enough to knock it out, so the Terra Dragon wasn't the worst thing to happen, even though Draco Meteor did not come out.
You know what I like at this point right now? That combo. Urshifu and Landorus are so freaking scary for Junxi's side right now. Not only can you Snarl one more time, which will lower Golden Go, and it can't really hit you because you're Assault Vested, but this Incineroar, it can't do all that much. I think the best play right now is to go for Substitute, so you don't lose right away, and then Snarl one more time, and then you can position yourself better. You could also just go for the attack with the Earth Power, knowing that Amoonguss is on the right side and is probably going down. I think, though, if you're Junxi, you know what? You target the right side. If it's Amoonguss, it's gone. Or no, if it's
Amoonguss is gone already, so
if it's Urshifu, it's gonna take some hefty damage, and if not, then
yeah, we know it's Urshifu because you turned out already.
But if you stay in with the Incineroar, it's also gonna take hefty damage. I think you Earth Power and then just
Golden Go protects.
Yeah, Earth Power and Snarl's the play. Let's see if Sean goes for that though.
All right, we do see the come out there, and Landorus for Sean gonna go ahead and go for the substitute. It's gonna call out the Incineroar for Junxi, not doing a good ending. Here's a -2 Thunderbolt. It's doing okay damage to the Incineroar. That will proc the Citrus Berry. It's all right.
I like that. I like that.
As anticipating a switch in. Parting shot into the substitute, so Landorus at the very least is gonna be reduced in power. But what does this mean for the Urshifu coming in?
It means that it's going to switch right back out, I think. But you know what I really like on Sean's side that's looming in the back? Amoonguss. Especially because I'm sorry I didn't see a Snarl. We saw Thunderbolt instead, but this Earth Power, even at -1, is going to do some hefty damage onto Urshifu, and especially if you go for a Thunderclap onto it, you basically ensure the knockout onto the right side no matter what. And the Terra Poison is pretty solid, but I don't think you need to right away. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I was expecting a Thunderclap, but Draco Meteor is good as well.
All right, we see a Terra come out from Sean finally on this end here for the Landorus. I believe it's going to be the Landorus right here going for the Terra here. It is Terra Poison. We are going to get that resistance, the neutrality to Surging Strikes,
which is huge right now. And this is a Choice Scarf Urshifu Rapid Strike, so keep that in mind.
It will be outspeeding at this very point. Surging Strike goes into the Landorus. Does it take one hit to knock out the substitute away, though? Because if it's two, yeah, that's a problem. Ooh. That's a problem because you really want to get the substitute, but you get so much minimal damage.
Even at -1, Landorus is in a good spot.
But like, how good of a spot is this at -1, though? Because
it's gonna go at least 50% on 2.
Earth Power into the Urshifu Rapid Strike. Yep, at least doing half damage.
That's all you need.
And the Raging Bolt. Okay, Golden Go first to make it rain. This will knock out the Landorus, unfortunately. So the substitute being gone was definitely more important from Junxi's end as we go back to neutral after the special attack drop. Raging Bolt does have a free Thunderbolt.
Yeah, exactly. Raging Bolt just you basically just wanted to chip the right side so Raging Bolt can do its
Draco Meteor and it missed.
I think it's okay. It's not.
Okay, Urshifu as the last one for Sean. So it's going to be Urshifu Rapid Strike, Urshifu Rapid Strike for each side. And the Raging Bolt stuck at -2 special attack, unfortunately.
I don't know why you're not close combating the Golden Go right now and going for a Draco Meteor combat. And yeah, that Draco Meteor was really important because then you could have close combat for the rest of the matches. But I think right now you Thunderbolt right, and then no, I think you. It's so tough, but I don't think Surging Strikes is the right call with Golden Go on the field. It's just it's bulky enough to take it, and then you really need to go. The close combat's risky, but I think it's worth it to get rid of the Golden Go because the combo that Junxi has at the back of Incineroar and Urshifu cannot touch Raging Bolt.
That's actually really important to know because, yeah, just Junxi's pretty much in a safe position here because of the Raging Bolt not having enough damage output. Urshifu has to lock into close combat more than likely. Urshifu going to swap in for the Intimidate, and that's going to be important because it's not Surging Strikes where it gets the auto crits.
Yeah. Ah, man, just Terra Dragon on Golden Go is still underrated. I think it's such a good type because it beats the Urshifu Rapid Strike, which is something that you do face a lot. But it is going to go for Surging Strikes. It's the Incineroar slot.
Okay, it's going to go down, but that just means you have to rely on Draco Meteor as your main damage output against its Golden Go. Even then, all Urshifu's doing is resisting the attacks against Golden Go and the Urshifu because you're dealing with a Dragon and a Water type for that attack coverage. Shadow Ball into the Urshifu does around half damage. This Draco Meteor needs to do a whole lot of damage to Golden Go. Does not get the knockout. Might be Surging Strikes range, but what do you do against this Urshifu now?
You hope you're faster. No, actually, it's going to come down to the Urshifu speed. If Sean outspeeds and able to get rid of the Golden Go, a Thunderbolt plus Thunderclap. But I don't think Thunderclap's going to knock out. Not at -4.
I mean, I really shouldn't, but like, what other options do you have? Because if you don't get the knockout on the Golden Go, the game's over.
Yep, you gotta just hope Urshifu's faster.
All right, Thunderclap into Urshifu, not enough for the knockout at -4. Who's Urshifu's faster? It's Sean's.
And that, I think, is going to be the play. What a call. Yeah, that Draco Meteor miss was important, but Sean played around it perfectly.
Yep, that's what it takes for the Golden Go to go down, even though the Terra Dragon was made such ahead of time, which was looking very good towards the end of the game. Close combat into the Urshifu isn't enough for the knockout, but that does leave successful with that Thunderclap, which is going to be the end of the game, and Sean's going to be into game 2 with a win.
All right, take a breather. I do think there was a little bit of a mistake. I think it was close, but the one thing that I think Junxi could adjust on is bring out your Landorus. I don't know if Golden Go is the right play here. Looking at what Sean had brought out, I think Landorus is a much better combo into it, specifically Terra Poison Lando. And if you can go ahead and just kind of play the same thing that you did with Junxi, but use Landorus instead of Golden Go, I think your longevity will be much better, especially because you're not going to get the attack drops, and you're not weak to, or forcing a Terra Dragon, and being weak to a Draco Meteor. So I think we're going to see that switch. But do you think Sean brought the right 4? Or we'll bring the same, if bringing the same 4, is that the right 4 for game 2?
Okay, let me get a reminder of what that was. It was for Regraph, Urshifu, Incineroar, Raging Bolt. Okay, so those 4 were definitely in the right mark, but as you said, there was no Landorus on Junxi's end. But it's like, at that point, you have to, if you're Junxi, what made you not bring the Landorus?
Yeah, I was surprised at that a lot, actually, because this is a team that...
I mean, I guess at a point you are worried about Urshifu, but it's just like, what was it that truly scared you out of it?
There's Spore, maybe Trick Room Spore, but then you got Porygon to reverse it. So I don't know. It's an interesting one. I think, yeah, it's a very interesting one. What do you think? Do you think that obviously Landorus should come in? I think for Junxi's side, but what else would support it? Amoonguss or Incineroar? What's a better partner?
Amoonguss, Incineroar. I mean, I should honestly expect Amoonguss Urshifu as the lead again.
Yeah.
You know, that shouldn't be obvious. But it's like, I think I do agree with you that the Golden Go wasn't really doing much. I mean, Shadow Ball, yes, was doing okay damage, but the Raging Ball just kept getting Snarl off, and although that did take out the Farigiraf, at that point, I think the Farigiraf just did what it had to do.
Yeah. I think you gotta
And then you also had to account for potentially the Hyper Voice crit that the Amoonguss took earlier.
Yeah, that was also very important. So this is such a interesting matchup for me. I think it's really close here.
Amoonguss and Incineroar this time. No Urshifu from Junxi. So we see Urshifu Raging Bull as a switch up for Sean.
Huh.
There's a couple things. I'm pretty sure Free Spore comes in here, depending on whether or not you bring in the Amoonguss at all, anywhere from Sean, like from a U-turn or from the Raging Bull Heart Switch. Fake Out, I don't think it's as good as you think it is, because...
No, I agree. Completely agree.
Yeah, Fake Out's not good as it is. It's like, to me, it hinges down to what Amoonguss does for Junxi.
I think this is a really good combo for Junxi. I think what you should do is just hard target the Incineroar, because the Fake Out, like you said, isn't as good. And then switch your, if you're Sean, switch your Raging Bolt out into the opposing Incineroar, because, like, you get the Intimidate on Incineroar.
Oh, Junxi going for an early Terra again.
No switches.
No switches either. It's going to be Incineroar to Grass, and that's probably covering for Surging Strikes.
Valid. Very valid. That's really nice. You could potentially get a knockoff here on this Amoonguss, and hope that it does. I'm sorry, Raging Bolt, and hope that
U-turn into the Amoonguss.
Yeah.
So we're trading damage from the Rocky Helmet and the U-turn damage, and we are going to go ahead and switch it out. And what comes in here? Let's have a look here from the screen. It's Incineroar for Regraph.
Incineroar. Yeah, you don't want to get spored.
I mean, I guess you can get supported if you're Raging Bolts, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but the nice thing with that is you can at least go for a hard
Draco
hitting attack.
It lands onto the Amoonguss. It's doing the same amount of damage it was doing before.
That does so much more than I expect every time.
Parting shot. That's now -3 special attack from that Raging Bolt after the gambit of that Draco Meteor.
Oh, I think Junxi may have spored the Incin slot because of that Terra Grass. That's a good read right there. I think we're going to see a switch into Landorus here. That's my prediction. There's not much from stopping you from setting up Substitute right now, in my opinion, if you're Junxi. If you brought Landorus. If not, it's a bit of more of an issue.
It would be an issue if Landers isn't even here. Urshifu comes in for Junxi in the back, so...
What is scaring that Landers?
Forward into the Raging Bolt!
Really good call. Okay, that was a really good call. What is scaring that Landers from coming out? You have Fake Out.
Yeah, Fake Out is definitely an option against this Urshifu, but like... I mean, yeah, I think Amungus is pretty free to switch on it instead of get a Regenerator off. I think that's like one of the many options Junxi has to see. I mean, of course, there's more than the one option we're mentioning here. We're just looking at the ones we have already in the head because Amungus probably can switch out a Regenerator into the Intimidate. And then it's just like the Fake Out, you got to cover Searching Strikes coming in here, although Terra is not another option. Raging Bolt, you take a turn of sleep. Okay, Amungus switch us out. I got that one correct.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see it swap on into this Incineroar, so that Intimidate is coming out. It's not going to be able to do too much onto the Raging Bolt because it is a special attacker, but it is going to go ahead and hurt this Incineroar on Sean's side, while Incineroar is going to use the Fake Out onto the Urshifu, so it's a bit of a wasted turn for this Urshifu, while the Raging Bolt takes its necessary sleep turn and now can wake up at any point.
It can wake up at any point, and it's only really threatening the Urshifu with Thunderclap, if anything, but then Junxi can retaliate back with a Fake Out of their own.
You know, it's interesting because this Incineroar is in a tough spot against this Water Urshifu, and I think, or the Water type Urshifu, and I think that you are -2 with this Raging Bolt, but having the ability to go ahead and Thunderbolt it and then Thunderclap it would be really important.
And there's a Terra from Sean.
You kind of are just, at this point, you're wasting turns to make sure that you wake up, and after you wake up, yeah, that's smart. Survive the hit, survive the hit, and then just hope your Raging Bolt wakes up and puts the pressure with those Thunderclaps.
All right, we see the Poison Terra come out. It's going to be a Surging Strike, so it will be resistant towards each hit. Oh, that looks to be around 50% health total. No, it's going to be a roll.
It's going to be a roll.
Yeah,
over.
It does over, and there is no citrus berry to be found towards Sean. Raging Bolt takes a second Terra sleep, unfortunately, so no Thunderbolt comes out from that slot. We're seeing Knockoff go into the Incineroar. We have neutral damage because this poison type. Safety goggles now removed. Knockoff into the Urshifu. No more Choice Scarf either.
I actually feel like you sometimes want the Choice Scarf to get knocked off. At this point, you could just Aqua Jet onto the left and go for a parting shot. Like, that knockoff was not great. First draft's actually pretty solid, expecting that. And then at that point, you're free to once again go for a Thunderbolt. You're really just hoping this Raging Bolt wakes up at some point. Once it wakes up, then it can reset and switch out. And kind of having Incineroar as a sacrifice, essentially, to bring the Raging Bolt back into a decent position without... Oh, it's just going to switch out right away into, I believe, the Fridge Draft to stop any potential... here's what I think. They're stopping the Aqua Jet.
That should be Aqua Jet coming out here. No U-turn, but it's resisted.
It's fine.
That's why it matters.
That's okay. Now your goal, if you're Sean, is like, okay, you saw that maybe I could outspeed Junxi's Incineroar. Let's go for a Flare Blitz. I know I'm going down. I can reset my Raging Bolt on the turn. Let's get rid of this Incineroar.
If that happens at all, because I believe the Junxi's Incineroar is faster, if I recall correctly.
I think you're right, but I think you're also going to think, oh, I want that Assault Vest off of the... So the tough part, though, is if it is a knockoff, it's going to get rid of that Throat Spray.
Landers, there it is.
Finally.
There's the Landers coming in here. Looks like a free opportunity to get into this battle here. There's a knockoff into the Farigiraf. Will survive at the very least, but Throat Spray is gone, so there's that setup gone. And, well, is this the trade that we wanted to see? Yes, it is. So both Incineroars go down.
That was a crit.
Oh, no.
I knew it right away because there was no way that Incineroar, there was no way that Incineroar would stay up or go down after a -1. It had to be a crit. Good news, bad news. Good news is you have your Raging Bolt ready to go. Bad news is the Lander is back on the field. And you do have Urshifu, but Amungus is also coming back out. It's so many 50-50 calls.
I think that's what this game's coming down to. I mean, we are running out of words at the very least from these games because I know Amungus back in here to likely support whatever comes in against this Urshifu. So Sean's Urshifu is always going to be faster now that Junxi's was knocked off with the Choice Scarf. Terra no longer available, meaning, oh, this Amungus might be forced to Rage Powder.
I think it has to. It's Rocky Helmet, don't forget. But then it's okay if it does, because Landers is free to go for a hit for a draft and it's going to outspeed it. And at that point, Raging Bolt's still asleep. Keep that in mind. So I think actually at this point, in my opinion, you Rage Powder substitute. There's no way that that's a bad play. For a draft could set up a Trick Room, but then you're free to Spore. The only question is Urshifu, Yeah, it doesn't have Ice Spinner, so Rage Powder substitute.
All right, there's a Rage Powder. There's step 1 for Sean. Although Psychic is just not hit out, so we are going to see that Surging Strike's in here. So it's going to be a lot of damage back towards the Urshifu because of the multi-hits that it's providing on that signature move. And if this is substitute on this Landers, what does that really accomplish? Because
yeah, now looking at it,
because Hyper Voice can hit through a substitute, I think you have to go for Earth Power, and it might be on for redraft.
Yeah, that's more safe.
Yeah,
that is.
There it is.
Yeah, the Hyper Voice threat actually was, I think, a big deciding factor there. However, Sean's really in a decent position.
Yeah.
No, it's Raging Bolt with Sleep. Never mind. I think you just Rage Powder and that's it.
Yeah, we might be going to game 3 here, especially because the Surging Foos clocked into Surging Strikes, which would knock it out, I believe, on the next session hit. Oh, that's actually pretty smart, actually. So, oh wait, not really, because if you Rage Powder, it still gets redirected to Amoongus. But if there is no Rage Powder, that's a big play from Sean.
That's really fun.
And there's a Rage Powder. We are not going to see that happen, unfortunately.
That is really fun.
I mean, we understood what was going on there, because if you hit your own Raging Bolt, you're really doing no damage. You're avoiding the Rocky Helmet, and you're at least getting Urshifu an opportunity to at least give Raging Bolt a chance to knock out the Amoongus. But because Rage Powder happened, Urshifu's probably going to go down.
Yep, and the Amoongus stays up as well. Man, Rocky Helmet Amoongus is brutal. And there it is, Rocky Helmet. So I think at this point, if you're going to game 3, and here's Sean, you prep for Landorus.
And there's the Earth Power, and it takes it pretty well with that Assault Vest. Raging Bolt took it all 3 turns to sleep, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Raging Bolt playing put to sleep is...
And then we're going to game 3, and Junxi has a chance to win 4 out of 5 tournaments now.
Unbelievable. Alrighty, well...
I don't think anything went wrong for Sean. It's just like sleep turns, which is pretty against him, and then knocking out that Choice Scarf was not ideal.
I think for Sean, I personally think you need to play Amoongus. I like these 4. I don't know if Fridgeraff really added much value to that set. I think Incineroar, Urshifu, Amoongus, Landorus is the set on Sean. And I think that Urshifu, Incineroar, Amoongus, Landorus is the 4 on Junxi. I think you go for a mirror and try to outplay.
I mean, we did see what's been happening throughout the entire tournament when he tried to outplay Junxi, and let's just say it hasn't gone well for their opponents.
No, it's not. But I don't see any 4 working here other than that.
Oh, we lock in.
It's just the only thing, and this is something that I was talking about earlier. Landorus is not able to be hit hard by that combo, and if Junxi sees that, it's not good. And especially because this Urshifu, you know, this is why I think we were talking about this a bit earlier. Terra Grass is seeing a surge in Urshifu water. This is why, because you give yourself a much better matchup into Amoongus, and being able to be redirected without a way to sustainably hit it hard is such a just brutal play, and I think that's really going to be the key. This Landers and Amoongus combo, if Junxi can position it right, I think it's going to be able to take on everything that Sean can throw at it.
Yeah. You couldn't have said it perfectly, because if Junxi finds a way to beat these teams, he'll find a way to do it. It's done it time and time again, and ladies and gentlemen, we are here for game number 3 of this Gym Challenge 24. Once again, it's Amoongus and Incineroar for Junxi Zhu. Incineroar Urshifu, the adaptation from Sean. Both sides a fake out, and I guess the hard part is really just what does Urshifu and Amoongus do?
Tough one. Very tough one.
Although I like to say Spore's a good option, I don't see it being that great, because well, the only thing you can really get Spored on is the Urshifu slot. And oh, wait a minute. Actually,
I like this. Yeah. For a Giraffe just needs to come in and prevent any potential fake up, getting rid of that Rocky Helmet. That's what doomed Sean in the last round. So there's that for a Giraffe. So no fake out from Junxi side available. But did Junxi predict that switch out?
Junxi Terras.
I was a guess.
It's going to be Incineroar to Grass for a second consecutive game.
Suspecting that
almost against Surging Strikes again.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're doing that, that means you're not going for Rage Powder.
Yeah.
And Fake Out was the option, and you can't do that against an Armored Tail Pokemon. What happens next? And Incineroar goes for the knockoff of the Amoongus, so the Rocky Helmet's not permanently gone for the rest of the battle.
Huge play there. Huge play there.
And what's next for the Among Us Spore into the Choreograph slot? So
That's fine. That's fine. I think
unfortunately, you can't go for the Hyper Voice with the Throat Spray anymore, but I think Choreograph wasn't really going to do much anyway.
Nope, Choreograph just needed to stay in and stop that fake out. I think right now what you do is you go for a Flare Blitz onto the opposing Incineroar, and then you go for the knockoff.
Yeah. Okay, so
that's not the knockoff. That is not the knockoff that I thought was going to happen, but the safety goggles is important because now you can Spore.
Okay, and there goes the Citrus Berry as well.
Knockoffs all around.
No more items, we all say. Choreograph took his first turn of sleep. Did Among Us go for the Spore here? And the answer is yes.
Really good Spore. Really good Spore. At this point, do you Terra Fairy to prevent that attack?
I don't think you do. Oh, okay, Sean says yes.
You gotta. I think at this point, I'm surprised we saw Hyper Voice and not Psychic onto for a draft. I'm sorry, Psychic onto.
You gotta activate that Throat Spray. I think that's what Sean's mindset is. You gotta activate that Throat Spray to do the damage you want.
But the knockoff is incoming. The knockoff's gonna go first. We saw it outspeed the Furry Draft on the last turn. There's no way you're gonna get your Throat Spray up. I think you focused the only thing I'm thinking, yeah, that's why I think the Hyper Voice came out instead. This switch was a decent
into Urshifu.
But that's the thing. Urshifu is a very common, was the obvious switch, and I think Psychic was a bit safer there, but it's still a solid play.
All right, we are gonna see the Terra Fairy come out into this Farigiraf. Hyper Voice is incoming against Junxi. But can you even get it off before you lose your Throat Spray? Because there's plenty of options that the Incineroar can go for, and unfortunately, the Throat Spray is just going to be gone.
It's still an offensive for a draft.
Incineroar will take his first turn to sleep. For Regret, take another turn to sleep, and the answer is yes.
That's kind of important. But it's not terrible, but it's important. The good news here is, yeah, Parting Shot's going to be very nice. I actually don't think there's anything on the field right now, like... this Urshifu is obviously scary, but I've got a feeling it's not going to go for Surging Strikes because both of Sean's Pokemon in the back resist. You also have the Among Us threat, even though Among Us isn't there. So I think Surging Strikes isn't necessarily the right call. I think we're going to see U-turn out on Junxi's side. Probably back into that Among Us to keep those spores going. But I think if that's the case, then you are free to go for Parting Shots and switch out and stay in. But no, the
Surging Strikes, that's going to knock out the Incineroar.
I went on a whole monologue about why I didn't think that was going to happen. Of course it happens, but...
don't worry. Things like this happen. And Junxi just saw there was no reason for him not to go for Surging Strikes on the Incineroar slot, and now do we see this Incineroar go for the Flare Blitz, or does it go for the Parting Shot? Because Parting Shot can lower the... Yeah, there you go. You just lowered the damage up out of this for Regress, so even if it does wake up, it's not going to knock out the Urshifu.
Yeah, you know, there's a little thing called Spore, which is so tough in this format. Among Us is everywhere, and it is showing why Spore is so good. Sleep is just one of those mechanics that could work in your favor if you get extra luck, and even if not, you get that guaranteed sleep turn, which is super important. And here it's showing this Fur Draft staying asleep for so long is just why it is such a good mechanic, and why both of these top two players have Among Us right now.
Yeah, I mean, Among Us is always one of those top two Pokemon that, not top two necessarily, but like one of the more popular picks in this format because it's so bulky, it's so supportive with that Spore, and it comes back in with that Regenerator. Is it back at full HP? It is. Does Among Us, does Free take a third turn to sleep? Yes, it does!
There you go. I think that's, again, another reason why it's so good. There's not much. Yeah, you know, it's a tough situation. You lost your main counter for this Among Us. If you go for a Hyper Voice plus... Draco Meteor, I think you're able to get rid of it, but then obviously...
Garrett -1 special attack though on a Farigiraf. I don't think that's going to be doing it.
Psychic then. But I think you double up in the Among Us here. There's really no choice you have otherwise. And this Urshifu, it doesn't really want to stay in, but it could, if you predict this call correctly, you could chip this in for a Giraffe and possibly knock it out, depending on how much damage you have.
Yeah, that's just depending on how much damage comes out from Junxi's Pokemon, and as well as the -1 special attack from Sean. There's also a possibility of Among Us switching out an Incineroar to cover for that Psychic. Yeah. That's probably the safer move because I think Among Us is the key win condition now for Junxi if you had the Landers in the bag. I think Incineroar is a non-factor.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay, no, we're just searching section for Regraph. We want damage, and we want it now.
But this could be very solid, actually. I'm not going to lie. It depends on how much this does on that Among Us, whether or not it wakes up, and it should wake up in this tournament.
Oh no, Trigger missed!
Oh, that was crucial. That was crucial.
And how much does a -1 Psychic do here for this Farigiraf onto this Among Us? It's super effective. It does less than half.
It would have KO'd with Draco Meteor.
And Spore goes into the Raging Bolts. All of Sean's Pokemon have gotten so drowsy they just want to sleep at work.
It's been a big day. Oh man, that Draco Meteor Mist was crucial.
You're now susceptible to Surging Strikes, and no matter what, which is the hard part to realize if you are John. And this, I hate to be the one to call this early, but I think Junxi's going to win his next 4th tournament out of 5.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't see any way. And this last Pokemon you said is Incineroar, so it's... Or is Urshifu, actually, sorry. Which...
Incineroar comes in?
Incineroar coming out on Junxi stuff, but Urshifu in the back for Sean, not really having much that they can do. Your best case here is if you do... You can't really do too much. I mean, the Surging Strikes is going to obviously knock you out, and at that point, you're playing the close combat game, which I don't think you're going to win. And especially now, Fake Out is available on this next turn, so you can prevent that Raging Bolt in case it wakes up from doing anything and allowing your own Urshifu to just not go for those or switch out. Actually, probably back into Amoonguss is better in my opinion. And then you've got Raging Bolts and a Water type against 2 Grass types with the Incineroar Terra. It's just not looking good for Sean.
No, it is not. As we see the final 2 Pokemon for Sean, Raging Bolt and Urshifu. Urshifu is likely not touching a lot of anything. It's probably got to be going to... No, you can't go for close combat, and that's a forfeit. Sean Jishu is going to win 4 tournaments out of the last 5, and shows that even for one setback from the entire weekend and the month, Seongji, once again, is inevitable.
Unbelievable. Once again, amazing commanding from that team. The switching out, the longevity of his team, keeping the Urshifu in, keeping the Incineroar in and tearing it to grass, making sure that the 4 that Sean played could not touch that combo was brilliant. We didn't even need to see the Landorus, which was usually the main damage dealer, but Incineroar, Urshifu, and Amoonguss, just the Fire, Water, Grass core coming in clutch for Junxi again.
Yeah, and that is going to be congratulating Junxi for another Premier Challenge victory. Once again, his 4th out of his last 5.
Unbelievable. And don't forget, even when he did not win, he did come in the top 8. So he has top cut all 5 of the last tournaments we've had. He is a force to be reckoned with. And if you think you could beat him, come on down, play. We love having players. Obviously, if you're out there, have some fun and come and watch or play. We'd love to have you here, and Bidoof would too.
Yeah, we have another tournament coming up on the 17th for next week if you want to go ahead and check it out. And at the end of the month, we're going to have a Mega Season Showdown.
That's going to be intense. We'll see you then. Thanks again for everyone here at Pokemon Labs and Psychotoro Collectibles, Troy, Taryn, Miguel, obviously you, Jesus, thank you for being an amazing co-caster. And on behalf of myself and Bidoof, thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week.